All right. Good afternoon. Good evening, everyone. Once again, thanks for being here. Those of you who have been following my content for the past month or so, you may have realized it's been about a month since I did a live stream. And that live stream was with today's esteemed guest. Do I have an explanation for that? No, I don't. But planning to make a change to that at some point soon. Nonetheless, thrilled to be back live with you guys. Thrilled to have again a special guest, and thrilled to have a not unique but never dull topic to talk about. And we do have some specific points of discussion and questions that we will be kind of swirling around. And of course, you guys as viewers are welcome to join in on that discussion. That's why we're doing it live. I see Josh is saying send it a clean skin. Okay, cool. I misread that and thought you said I had clean skin, and I was about to say thank you, but that's all good. Um, nonetheless, good stuff. Yeah. Before I bring Ross in, go ahead and shout out where you're coming from, what you're smelling like, if anything. I would love to see you guys in the chat. CTLTG is saying, please like this stream. If you guys would, it costs nothing and it means a lot. Let's see here. Ooh, Egypt. Man, that's a good one. I dig that one. I need to pull that out. It's been a minute. Compliment King Aventus. You are right in line with our topic today. Aventus, classic. I'm actually editing a video about Aventus right now. I promise it's interesting. How's Northwest Scent doing these days? I don't know. Haven't spoken with Corbin in some time, but I hope he's doing well. Excuse me. Recovering from a cold that hit me last week, so it's still living here. I might be clearing my throat from time to time. Stuart Long, always good to see you. Going to bed in London. Thanks for showing up nonetheless. Let's see. Good to see you, Vasil. Okay. All right. So I'm going to bring in the man, the one and only, recently crossing the finish line of 100,000 subscribers. Not really a finish line, guys. I hope you get that, but it is a major milestone. Lots of work, scrambling uphill over the past few years to get to this point, and I'm proud of this man and his work ethic. And I'm gonna bring him on screen to grace your eyes. This is Ross, aka TLTG Reviews. Ross, how you doing?
I'm doing well. What an introduction, huh?
I never come up with it beforehand, but I'm just always inspired in the moment.
You got to shoot from the hip. I call it being Brett Favre, just being a gunslinger.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Man, I appreciate you having me back on. I love when we do these live streams together, whether it's just picking fragrance or talking about compliments, bro.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, indeed. Yeah. Obviously, the last few live streams we have done have been, very fragrance focused, which, we are fragrance platforms. And today, we'll be fragrance focused as well, but talking about the big C, as people like to talk about. And we've been talking about in this community for years now and probably never will stop because we're humans. And as long as we're humans, we talk about compliments. Yes. So before we kind of dive into things, as I like to do, and as you do as well, I like to give folks some time to jump in. So for the next 6 minutes or so, we can just chop it up. Easiest way for us to do
I
that.
got from you. It was brilliant, so I've incorporated it pretty much immediately in my live streams. It's brilliant to do that.
Oh man, yeah, of course.
Gives everybody confidence. You don't have a ton of, hey man, what I miss, or hey man, did you start going?
Exactly. Jason, I know what I said. I said what I said. All right.
By the way, I might be clearing my throat a good bit today as well. I have like some phlegm. I'm not sick, but it's like, it feels like the tail end of being sick. It's kind of odd that you're going through it too. Strange.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we're just going to sound real deep and gruff the whole stream. Very engaging. Yes. Ross, what is your scent of the day? What you wearing?
Man, I'm so glad to finally have a bottle of this. 2 nights ago, I did a live stream with Scott Aromatico.
Hmm.
We each picked 5 of our absolute favorite pickups of the year. Now, this wasn't a new release thing. It's just, hey, 5 that you were just super happy to buy.
Yeah.
Strong With You leather. I finally added a bottle. If you remember, I used the decant that I had in a blind melon rate with you and Andrea a while back.
Yes, I do remember that.
This was actually featured in a video that we did together, and I
Yeah.
had been putting it off, and every time I was ready to get it, it would be hard to find. Well, around the kickoff to the holiday shopping season, the Oud Flanker and this one came back in stock with Fragrance Buy, so I scooped them up. It's my first time wearing it, and
Hmm.
it's one of those fragrances that, even though it's been a while, as soon as you spray it and smell it, just burst off the skin. It reminds you of why you fell in love with it in the first place.
Hmm.
I'm at here because I love the DNA, and it's a
Yeah.
soft, supple, like brown leather, like a mid-level luxury purse, like Coach or Michael Kors. Like, think that type of that supple, soft, luxurious leather smell mixed with the Strong With You DNA. I just love it.
Okay.
I love it. One
Okay.
of the better leather designers I own for sure.
I don't recall exactly what it smelled like, but I do remember maybe being a little surprised by it. So I need to revisit that. Um, I kind of like where they're going with this line.
Me too.
At first I was like, okay, they're doing the typical absolute this and whatever. They were just kind of in terms of flankers, but now they're getting specific, which I love. They did the amber, which didn't blow me away, but I
I
appreciate
like
the
it though.
specificity. Yeah, I mean it's a easy to wear, easy to like scent.
Yeah.
I like that they're doing oud and they're doing leather, and I don't remember what else they've done and what's coming,
So the
but
new one that's coming is tobacco. So they have
okay,
a tobacco specific. That's the new one that's coming. It hasn't officially released yet, but iFragrance put the teaser post with the sealed box and
okay,
bottle picture and all that stuff. So
I
it's a
respect it.
thing and it's coming. And I'm
I
sure it's going
respect
to be
that.
pretty good.
Yeah, yeah, at the very
None of
least.
them are bad, but none of them are like, oh my God, this is the greatest designer fragrance ever. You either like if you like the line,
Yeah,
you like all of them. If you like the
yeah.
original, you like all of them.
No, I can respect that. Brian Bork, thank you for the super chat. Uh, got Gerlin Loam Intense coming in. All right, man. Yeah, that's perfect for fall and winter. I think it'll be a great option for you for the evenings when you're stepping out, either casually or a little bit more formally. Oh, there you go.
That's my travel
Yeah,
out of
man.
my. They don't want to sniff it. Is it still your favorite since you've had a lot of time with the Extreme now? Is Intense still your favorite?
By a margin, a little margin, yes, it is
Just a
still
little bit,
my
right?
favorite. Yeah, yeah. I
Same.
mean the extreme for me again. I was kind of lukewarm to it, and now I like it a lot. So it's moved up. Intense hasn't gone anywhere. It's been at its notch. So extreme moved up. I don't expect it to surpass EDP. I need to revisit. I feel like EDP was my favorite for some time, so I need to like revisit why that was because I do kind of miss it and I do remember liking it a lot. Um, my sin of the day is Ormond Jane, Ormond Man.
You've
This
been
old
liking that one
classic.
quite a bit.
This has been like my go-to dumb reach
I've
this year.
noticed. That's why I say that.
Yeah. Yeah. In terms of wears, which I track all my wearings every year, it's gotten just in terms of the amount of time I had it and the number of wears it has, it's like technically one of my most worn fragrances this year, just based on ratio. I don't think it'll come out the top with the final numbers when I do, tally everything up, but it's been super enjoyable. It's not only really easy to wear and versatile, but it's a little different. It's kind of got its own character. I think it came out in like
Oh, five.
2005,
Yeah.
2000, something like that. And you really wouldn't be able to tell. It's utterly timeless. They could have released this a year ago and it would be totally relevant. So, yeah, I like it a lot. I had a sample of it years ago when I first started my channel and I found it interesting. So I'm happy to come back to it this year. And it's been kind of a workhorse for me. It's just one that I can throw on, whether it's warm or cool outside, whether I'm dressed up a little bit or not, wherever I'm going. I tend to reach for it in the daytime, not usually at night all that much, but daytime, and I don't know what to pick. It's always out and just kind of ready.
Is that kind of like your go-to when you go edit at the coffee shop?
It
Has
has
that kind
been.
of been what it's
It
been?
has been. Yeah, a lot of the time I might try to be more thoughtful if I have the time. But if I don't, then it's like one of the first ones that comes to mind. Either a couple of Rajas or maybe, Second Soul or this. Like those like non-thinking fragrances where you don't have to think
Grab and
about,
go.
you don't even look at your collections, like the ones that just pop in. It's definitely one of them. So
One
anyway,
quick question
yeah.
before I know you're ready to jump in, but you got Intensivo when you got Man, correct?
No,
Montebaco
I
Intensivo. So
don't
you
I
don't
don't
have
have
it
no.
because I wanted to ask you how you were liking it because it's very redundant to Montebaco Verano. Do you have Verano?
I do have Verano.
So picture
So they're
Verano,
similar.
now make it darker and intensify some tobacco,
Hmm.
and you have Intensivo. It's literally an intense version of Verano. It lessens the
Interesting.
grapefruit and the citrus and kind of the isoi super, all the freshness from Verano. You tone it back a little, kind of just rebalance the notes, really. Very
Hmm.
few differences, if any, in the note pyramid that I remember. But that's the biggest difference is they smell of the same formula with a rebalancing. Like the base is
Interesting.
stronger in this one.
Okay. So
Yeah.
that's still something you would reach for like on a
Oh,
hot
that's why
summer
it's right
day.
here. Yeah.
Okay.
No, no, not on a hot day, but this time of
Okay.
year, absolutely. So
Okay.
Verano is the one that's year round. This
Yeah.
one more fall winter.
Okay.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, I still like to try it. I have a decant. I might have a sample of that one. I know I definitely have a sample of the original Montebaco, which is great. That
I
stuff
never tried
is
it.
just as classic. Definitely worth a try. Um, Yeah, it's a great house. They're highly overlooked. I saw Jason just
Sure.
said that. Great overlooked house, Ormond Jane. Guys, if you haven't checked them out, please do. Oh, I accidentally clicked on this. I did not
Super
mean to click
Soul
on
and
that.
Pleasure First. What great name.
Oh,
That's hilarious.
I'll tell you what, William, we will give you the credit when we come out with our next
Yes.
fragrances with those names.
You better trademark them fast because we're stealing.
Yes. Super soul and pleasure
That's funny.
first.
I appreciate that comment. That's funny stuff.
Yes, that was a total accident that I clicked on it.
That's
But William,
hilarious.
thank you.
Yeah.
Joel, appreciate you coming out. Thanks for hanging even for a bit. Hope
Always
you're
a
well.
pleasure.
Hope you can check out the replay. Okay, compliments, bro.
Gotta have them,
That's
right?
they are life, as we know. So again, I didn't know exactly what direction I wanted to take this. Again, I have some points I've written down. Um, I don't know if I'm trying to be necessarily I don't know if I'm trying to really stir the pot today because I don't know if I feel angry or intense about this, but we'll see where we go and we'll see how you
Yeah.
guys respond to these questions because you're welcome to answer them too. They could be rhetorical, but Ross and I might be answering them and you guys can do the same. Um, so, again, we're talking about just the simple fact. This is our thesis. It's the idea that a lot of people consider a fragrance as good when it gets compliments. Now, whether that be, a cherry on top, like, oh, it bumps it up just even that much more when someone else likes my fragrance, or it could be either it's good or not based on its compliment factor, So here's the first question. I just have my notes here, so guys, pardon me for looking down here. I just want to keep things succinct. Is the ability for a fragrance to get compliments the sign of a good fragrance? Is that what a fragrance is supposed to do? And if it doesn't, is it not worth wearing? So that's the question. That's the first question. Ross, I would love to know what you think. Is the ability for a fragrance to get compliments the sign of a good fragrance?
I would like to
There's
read you something.
okay.
Give me
I
one.
saw
Give me
you
one
grab your
moment.
phone. No
Give me
problem.
one moment. I have a great
Ye-
example for this question
Okay.
that
Okay.
happened just in the last few hours. Let me
Interesting.
find it. It's not far down. One moment, please.
Yeah. Off the Couch podcast said, "You're doing the compliments what Jay-Z did to auto tune." Death of auto tune.
Funny stuff.
Okay.
Oh, don't tell me he deleted it and went back on it. Come on now.
Uh-oh. You might
I
have
can
to
give you the
just
gist of it, but
yeah, you might have to
I
summarize it.
wanted to read verbatim. Yeah, because I'm too far back now. So
Okay.
he must have pulled it down. It's hilarious. So in the clone video that I put out today, I talked about Afnan Rare Carbon. Great option if you're not looking to spend ombre leather money.
Yes.
It's kind of a combination of ombre leather and the parfum. You get elements of both. It's kind of a smells just like, but not exactly like kind of clone. And it's literally good enough to where it's kind of held off the process of me buying ombre leather. I've had decants of both, love both, want to have them one day, but not in a rush because the clone's actually really good. Point being, he goes on to tell me how much he loves it. It's amazing. It's so good. Then I tried ombre leather at Sephora, wore a sample out that night, and yes, I dropped panties, bro. And I got emojis, and I swear that's what he said. I dropped panties that night, bro. He must have pulled it down. He had to be messing with me. So it's so bro cringe stuff. So, and how do you finish it? He's like, so I'll never touch that cheap garbage again because ombre leather is the truth. So now, if this is genuine, what he typed in this comment, you'll never convince him there's a better lady killer, panty dropper, compliment getter than Tom Ford's ombre leather because of that situation, if true. Your question, immediately, that's why I started smiling like, oh, I have such a good example for this question.
Oh, man.
Because he loved Rare Carbon.
Yes.
And had he went out and got nothing, the comment would have been, oh, Rare Carbon's good enough, man. I've gotten compliments from it. I wore ombre leather that night. Nobody said nothing. I guarantee it would have been the opposite if his story is true. So it's funny. It's funny to look at it that way because I could totally see it being the other side of the coin.
Yes.
Given the example.
Yes. Yeah, totally. That just tickles me. That kind
For
of.
those of you that I should have sent you a couple of comments today. I don't know why I didn't send you that one.
That one is great.
Because I've told you guys before, when we get some pretty funny comments, we share.
Yeah. Yeah.
We share. Check what this dude said.
Yeah. And we use funny. It's like, it's funny how ridiculous this is.
Yes. Yeah. Funny is a nice way of saying just totally ridiculous.
Yeah.
I see it a lot. And, we're all guilty of it in some ways. You might look at a fragrance slightly different if more times than not somebody, even if it's just your lady, even just your significant other, the person you spend the most time with, if they really enjoy a specific fragrance or a specific scent profile, you're more than likely going to wear it a little bit more,
Of course.
Now you take a significant other out of it. Let's take the workplace. More times than not, oh, you're wearing that one again. I love when you wear that one. You're probably going to wear it more. So there is some validity to it. The unfortunate thing, and I think the goal of this conversation is to find out, is it really that important, right? Because I think for most people, they're going to say, you're going to get a mixed bag of yes and no's because it all comes back to personal experience. Everybody's going to have a different experience because some people say they never, ever get a compliment on anything.
Yep.
So that's the people that I would think 100% wear it for themselves because they're just used to nobody telling them they smell good, bad, or indifferent. So it's kind of it's hard to give a direct answer one way or the other in this situation.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, there is no right or wrong answer to this. It's just, simply something for us to talk about and think about critically because, there is a culture to this space on YouTube. It is a part of the fabric of this culture that compliments are just in the, they're the underpinnings of why a lot of people even buy fragrances, and I can easily admit that in my earlier days, meaning like a couple years ago, I could easily, look down upon that. And I was very clear about it in my content. I'd be like, it's sad that you guys are just buying fragrances for compliments. Nowadays, I'm just like, okay, do your thing, but the very least I'm going to do is ask you to ask yourself why, just so you know for yourself, because we don't get asked that enough, I think, to critically assess why we do what we do. So, yeah, it kind of goes back to this idea of like, why do we buy fragrances in the first place, especially in this hobby? What draws people to YouTube, to top 10 videos, to even spending their hard-earned money on something they see in a video? And 9 times out of 10 is
go ahead. I think we're about to
yeah,
say
no. Go ahead.
I think they're looking for validation for lack of self-esteem.
Yeah, that could be a big part of it, whether or not people are gonna see
Not
that.
everybody. I'm not saying this for
Yeah.
everyone, but I think more times than not without realizing it. Because if you want people to tell you smell good, there's a little bit of self-esteem lacking there. If you feel the need to get it's great when it happens. I love when I get a nice compliment. I love fragrances. Of course, I want to hear that my fragrance smells good, because that's a small moment in time that you're giving me an opening to talk about the fragrance I'm wearing. That's how I take that, because I love to talk about fragrance.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
it comes down to living in your sillage. You got to live in that sillage all day long. So you got to love it. If you don't love it, why are you loving it?
Yeah, no, for sure. And, I like that you brought up the idea of significant others. That is something that I wanted to explicitly omit from this conversation, because I think it's a different dynamic to have a girlfriend or a boyfriend or a wife or a husband whom you spend a lot of time with, who maybe you even live with, and whatever you are spraying on for the day, they are going to experience it. And, if they like most of what you wear, then you're always going to get some kind of positive feedback. And most people will say, well, that doesn't really count as like compliments, so to speak, in terms
and that's
of
fair.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Different dynamic. I agree with what you said. It's a different dynamic.
Yeah. So kind of leaving that out of the equation, we're talking about unsolicited compliments from strangers, right? So I'm going to go back a little bit to one of the first questions I asked, and that is, like, is getting other people to like the way we smell the purpose of fragrances, right? Now, there may not only be one purpose, but there's obviously a priority list. There's a ranking of the purposes for different people, and that's just, different strokes. But I guess, I don't know, how do you feel about that for you? Like, and there's no right or wrong answers here in terms of like where that ranks. Is that a purpose and not just having other people like how you smell, but having them tell you? Are compliments one of the purposes of wearing fragrances, like almost objectively speaking?
Situationally so. For me, I'll speak on the way I go about things. If I have somewhere to go that is an event of some kind, whether it's a get together around people I haven't seen in quite some time, where I'm known as the cologne guy in my circles, there's an expectation. So I have to wear something special where I know they're looking to compliment. And so I want something stronger that's 100% something they've never smelled before. But it's still, even in those situations, it comes down to the personality for the day. I'm all about personality match with the fragrance, because you're not the same exact person every day. Depending on what's going on, depending on how you're feeling, depending on how you're dressed, your confidence level, all of each day varies from day to day. So it's all about the specific personality blending and matching with the aroma and the visual. It's a total package thing, like we talk about all the time. Now, more days than not, I'm quite casual, like I am now. Very casual approach to everything, unless otherwise stated. So for me, most of the time, not that serious. When I have somewhere I'm going, strategically putting it out there to see if I can fish some in. I don't need to hear it, but I'm just curious, kind of as a blind study in some ways, because of its talking points for future content as well. It's kind of a focus group, if you will, in some ways, of what I'm doing. And it's only because of what I do on the internet, really. Because I would say if you were to take the content creation side of it out of it, that's obviously not the case, but it would still be, you want to show out when
Mhm.
you're at said event. Like when you go play a gig, for example, you're not wearing something generic, basic bro, as you like to call them. You're just not going to do that. I know you. You're
Mhm.
going to put on something special that's going to give you that extra level of confidence because you're getting on stage and playing in front of people. So
Mm.
you're going to, I would imagine you're looking for that special scent that really makes you feel a
Yeah,
little extra that day. Is that fair to say?
definitely. Definitely, yeah. Yeah, I mean, no, all really good points. That's such a great explanation of even just kind of the way you see it, and I can relate to that. Having a YouTube channel where we basically report on our life through the lens of fragrance.
Yeah.
It's cool to be able to express those experiences if they did happen. And, I think your situation is pretty special in that you have a circle of people that expect it,
Mm-hmm.
and they've told you before, and there's been these experiences before of them commenting on your scent.
It's both
And
sides of the family, hers and mine. There's an expectation. I literally,
okay.
at my fantasy football draft this past August, my childhood friends said, "Oh yeah, he can never go anywhere and not smell great." It's just like we have to heavily rip him apart. If it like they literally, I hear it in the background, you know,
Yeah.
make it because
Yes.
it's a joke among my friends. I review fragrances
Yeah.
on the internet, right? So, but that is a thing. There's when people know that you do these things, our situation is a little different from most. There's an expectation around those that know you the longest or the best.
Mm,
There's a set of expectations out there, whether they
for
tell you or
sure.
not. It's there.
For sure.
You know?
Definitely. I agree. I see this comment from Honey, and Kyler actually had a similar sentiment in his comment I had on screen, basically talking about I don't care about them that much, because I know that I smell great. Like, doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. I know that I put on something that I love that affects me mentally or emotionally or whatever. And if no one says anything about it, that doesn't change how I feel. But getting one is not
All
bad,
overnight bonus.
and that is one thing you know, I've never wanted people to hear what I'm not saying, which is like, oh, you should not ever get compliments. You should run from them. You should reject them. You should be like, excuse me, I don't need your compliment. I'm good. I'll compliment me. Like, none of that. It's like we're humans. Like, we're around people. If you smell great, then people say it, then that's great. You're going to feel great about that. Um, my point is that if no one says anything, what do you do? Like, um, I think one of the problems in the community, just around the topic of compliments, is that they are obviously tied to fragrances, and these fragrances are being presented as tools for a particular purpose. That purpose being get other people to like you, right? Which is kind of like, oh, it's confidence in a bottle. You spray it on, now you're confident. Now other people are going to not only like how you smell, but they might even tell you. And then you can just pump up your chest more and more with every compliment. You just walk around inflated, just like you're the guy on the block. You're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But
Hemi Butler.
the exactly. But
Uh,
but the problem with that is that if this is confidence in a bottle, it's literally short-lived. You spray it on and it immediately starts evaporating. Immediately. And it will disappear unless it's like, some disgustingly beast mode fragrance that you have to scrub off. That's a different story, maybe. But most of the time, for most people, you spray a fragrance on, it immediately starts to disappear little by little. And, if you wear an 8-hour fragrance at work, or maybe it turns out to be 5, 6, whatever it is, once it's gone, there goes your confidence. Like, what are you going to do? So it really comes
flawed
down
logic.
to what's that?
It's flawed logic, is what it
Yeah,
comes
I
down.
mean, it comes down to your own personal intention. Like, and I think this usually happens. We find you might find yourself in this situation where your confidence has worn off if you are wearing fragrances that you don't actually love, but other people might like. And that is super common. Again, it's not a sin. It's not breaking any laws. It's not the worst thing in the world, But I just would hope that people would want better for themselves and to know that, hey, how about I go ahead and spend one of my, I'll spend this day, which is, my days are numbered here on this earth. How about I try to spend every day being my authentic self? And fragrance is a very tiny way to do that. It's just a piece of how you present yourself to the world, but you might as well make it you. And again, if you do get a compliment at the end of the day from it, then that's great. That means people like you for who you are, and not for a facade, not for a mask. Again, there's nothing wrong with it. But if I'm going to give any advice through my content, if I can leave any impact on this world through fragrance, it's, hey guys, wear what you love first. Obviously, if you have a significant other, that's a different thing. You want to be sensitive about that. I know I saw Tom Schroeder put up a comment a bit ago about, like, when he's with his wife, he likes to wear stuff that he knows that she enjoys. And when he's not with her, he wears stuff that she finds challenging. But then he might experiment. Yeah. But he might experiment.
The heartbreak that is Amouage Overture, man, for me, where I love. Justin introduced me to it. I got a great deal on one from Joe Anthony. My wife can't stand it.
I get it. I get
Very
it, man. Yeah.
I get that one.
Yeah, I mean, and that's clearly one of those ones that it doesn't affect how you feel about it. It obviously affects how it functions in your life. Yeah, it doesn't affect like, oh, I guess I don't like it now. But it does affect, how am I going to wear this? You got to be strategic. But that's totally fine. I mean, that's just a part of life. If you live with someone that you love, you don't want to just purposefully offend them just for your own sake. Obviously, no one is, hopefully not,
got to be
narcissistic like that. Yeah, totally. But so, that's a dance of itself, which again, we're not really focusing on that topic for today. If you're going out into the world, like, if you love what you got on, I just feel like you're going to be just the utmost confident, no matter what anybody says. So that's just how I feel about it. Let me make sure I'm not missing it. I see a lot of great comments that I want to touch on. What is this? Sir Siage Sniffington. The issue I have is that 99% of popular fragrances will make people think you smell good. It's not like it's a huge achievement. It's the bare minimum a fragrance should achieve.
Totally fair point.
Yeah, I agree. In fact, I always hear EQ say that all the time. Is 99% of fragrances smell good. I love
the challenge is finding one that smells awful. That's the real challenge. Finding one that's just terrible.
Yes.
That's way less likely,
Exactly. Yeah. And, for that reason, when you really think about it, and I don't mean to step on anybody's toes or tarnish anybody's game, but when we make top 10 complimented fragrance videos, it's really silly because it's like we're sectioning off, like, hey guys, yes, lots of fragrances out there, but these are the ones you got to check these out. But what they're really saying, at least hopefully what they're really saying, is these 10 fragrances happen to get me compliments. They might do the same for you.
This is my experience. And I always have to say, probably 6 or 7 times a video, there's no guarantees you're going to get a compliment at all.
Yeah.
If you decide to wear these fragrances, I'm just telling you my experience. Because that's the only way I can do videos like that, is make it personal to me. I can do those videos every week, but it's going to mean something to me and be true experience
for sure.
Had, whether recent or long term, all time lists, stuff like that.
Yeah. Totally.
But just saying this will get you compliments and nobody's ever told you smell good with it, don't stop doing that.
Yes, please.
That happens a lot. Stop doing that.
That is the snake oil reputation that's being built when that happens a lot. And it does happen, unfortunately, more than it should. But yeah, Sir Siage, I totally agree with you. I think I've been saying this for a little while. I do genuinely believe that any fragrance can get you a compliment. Now, there's factors to consider. There is the type of association that you find yourself around most of the time, and that demographic. There is how much of it you spray on or how little. There is how you present yourself in terms of your clothing and your style. There is how you treat other people, your attitude, your energy in a room. Are you a likable person? I do believe that you should be able to walk scentless into a room and get a compliment on your haircut, on your shirt, your watch, your shoes,
Wow.
whatever may be, the whole fit, or even just your attitude. People are like, man, you got good energy. I like you. Whatever it is, like
You get
we
what you
got to
give.
be, yeah, we got to be a good person. So, I hate that term is very vague and nondescript, but I think we know what I mean. Be a good person, present yourself well first, and then we sprinkle the fragrance on top of that, just a little bit of dust. And people are like, and you smell good. But the cool thing that, with fragrance as a tool is that if you have all those things, the whole package, as I described, which is kind of an idealistic way of looking at it, but it's not totally impossible. If you have all those things, presenting yourself well, treating people with respect and kindness, people will like you, and your scent could have something to do with it. But at that point, it becomes this subconscious, influential aspect where they may not even notice that they like how you smell, but all the other factors are just kind of, you know, amping it all up. It's all being elevated because, yeah, also you happen to smell really great or smell really unique or smell special in some way. And that, here's the thing. The one thing I don't want to say, another one thing I don't want to say
He's
is that
trying
there
to not
are.
say, don't be a sensory overload. They taste good, smell good, feel good.
No, what I'm trying to say is I'm
Mm,
not trying to draw a dividing line between
mm.
fragrances. This is not about any particular fragrance or type of fragrance. If it's PD and Percival, if it's Dior Sauvage, if it's Gisada Ambassador, wherever the hell, there's all these fragrances that are touted as like, oh, these are the ones. If you genuinely love those fragrances, amazing. That's why you should wear them. If you
I actually
love
like Dior Sauvage.
Sauvage,
I
I mean,
actually really like
I don't
Sauvage.
hate Dior Sauvage. I'm just sick of its reputation, and I'm sick of
Well,
how it's
the
touted.
original, I think, is the worst one.
Yeah, I
Every
mean,
other flanker's better. The
they've
spicier they get, the
definitely
better they get to me.
they've refined it for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't. Again, I'm not trying to say you should be wearing like you're wearing designer. You're wearing mainstream. You're wearing basic, bro. If you love it, that's great. You're winning, no matter what it is. And if you're wearing something that you love and you checked all the boxes as we just talked about,
Mm.
great. You won. You're doing it. Living life. It's working. So anyway,
It's just
that's
an
yeah,
artistic
go ahead.
expression. That's all.
Yeah,
It's
that's
just
it.
an added bonus is how you can look at it. That's how I've always treated it. It's just something
Yes.
extra. If
Sure.
you
Yeah.
can't have a smile on your face in a conversation and get something positive in your interactions with people at the gym without a fragrance on, just like you can dressed up with a nice suit jacket with a $300 beautiful complex aroma on, the two should go hand in hand. It should be interchangeable. And notice there's no fragrance in gym clothes in one, and there's dressed up with an expensive niche in the other. In those two scenarios, it should be
Totally.
pretty seamless. It comes down to you. We always talk about how we're the variable, right? That goes more than just with skin chemistry and performance. We are
Yeah.
the variable. The fragrance isn't doing anything special for us. We do more for the fragrance than the fragrance does for us, really.
That's the truth, man. I totally agree. We are indeed the variable. It's the reason why you have people who can buy Aqua de Joe and drop 18 pairs of panties in a night, so they report. And you have people who buy it and no one says a dang thing to them. And I've gotten messages from people over the years, not a lot of messages, but a few of people saying, "Hey, bro, I don't know what's going on. I bought this fragrance, this fragrance, this fragrance." They name all the top heavy hitters, and I'm not getting any compliments. Like, what's going on? And I'm like, oh,
You know,
oh no.
yeah. How do you answer that? You know,
I still haven't quite figured it out.
because
Without I want
the
to answer it in a
follow-up
helpful
questions,
way.
that's what I was going to say. The follow-up
Yeah,
questions could be taken in an insulting manner because it's
exactly.
like, well, there's so much to go through here because it's not just the fragrance. Like you
Yes.
just said a moment ago, that's the sprinkles.
Yes. Sprinkles, baby. Sprinkles on the cupcake. You are the cupcake, people. Will Baker not wearing very avant garde fragrances around others is like not microwaving fish in the office break room. Just common courtesy. We know what smells mass appealing and what smells challenging.
So the microwaving the fish, that's an awful smell. I've been there at work. I've smelled that before. It's, oh God,
Yes.
they warmed up seafood. Oh
Yes.
yeah. There's a
You
definite
know,
funk that comes with
yes. I if I understand what he's saying, I think he's saying it's common courtesy to not wear crazy, challenging, off the wall fragrances to work.
yeah.
Um, I I agree with that, but I do believe that there are variables to consider. Number one, if you, I mean, I agree, Will. We know what smells challenging. Like if you're a frag head and something, meaning you've smelled like hundreds of fragrances and you're always smelling more, you have a collection and you find something that's challenging to you, it's most likely going to be very challenging to the average person.
Super challenging to your
Yeah,
coworkers. Oh
totally.
yeah, it's going to be Anchorman with the fire hose
Yeah.
outside is how they're going to feel if you think it's challenging.
Yeah.
Oh
But
yeah.
you know, I do think that there is magic in subtlety. You take a challenging fragrance, you don't spray it 5+ times. I would say even be conservative and spray no more than twice, even if it's fairly light, 1 to 2 times. Call it an experiment and just see what it does. Especially if you love it. If you love the scent, that's first and foremost. And yeah, you might be tiptoeing like, okay, this is a little bit of a risk, or how are people going to feel about this one?
That might
But
be the
knowing
sweet
that
spot.
yeah, exactly. Knowing that it's just a little bit of an aura, people might catch it if you pass them. You're not leaving it in every room you walk into. I think it could actually work because this is what I've observed over time. When it comes to the average person not liking a fragrance that you might wear, 9 times out of 10, and a very, that's not real, not 9 times out of 10, but it's going to be more often than not. They're not going to like it because of its potency, not necessarily the scent itself. As long as it doesn't smell like poop or anything, any other excrement,
No
that's
fecal
just,
ooze, guys.
yes, as long as it's not overtly just funky nasty, I think most people can at least appreciate or at least not be bothered by almost anything. But once it's strong, ooh, whenever I see like street battle videos or people just going around, hey, smell this, smell that. Most of the comments you hear from people saying that they don't like something, it's like, oh, I just prefer something lighter. Like, oh,
Usually
I
you hear
wouldn't.
whichever one they described as fresh is usually the winner.
Yes.
Notice that? Whichever
Yes.
one they say the word fresh when they're smelling, that's usually their favorite.
A lot of the time, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I find that people don't like overwhelming smells. And they don't want to smell like overwhelming smells. So I think you can get away with more than you might think as long as you, again, love what you're putting on and to be super conservative. You might be surprised what it does for you. If you don't smell it after 3 hours, then okay, you tried. That's fine. At least you're not hurting anybody, whatever it may be. I see Mr. Eddie. Justin, you just answered my question about Dior Sauvage Elixir. I love it, but I remember you asked me this on a comment, Eddie. I'm afraid to wear it because wear it to work, but I'm gonna try one spray. I don't want to choke the lovely older lady beside me. Yes.
And there's a real possibility that you might with one. It's that strong. And I've already heard the reformulation comments from people in videos when I
Really?
mentioned Sauvage Elixir.
I've not heard a thing about this.
I had a funny one for today's video when I got to Afnan Not Only Intense.
Yes.
Because I literally did a shorts video when I wore it the other day, and somebody said every time it's about batch numbers and this is from 2023, 30 minutes, the typical thing, and I reference it and I say, I'm not an ear, nose, and throat doctor. I can't fix that for you. I don't know what to tell you, because the reason I make that joke is, guys, I promise it's olfactive fatigue. If more times than not, people you're watching or things you're reading are talking about how strong these fragrances are, and your experience is the exact opposite,
Mm.
I go back to the variable.
Yes.
It's not the fragrance that people say lasts 12 hours is only 30 minutes on you. There's a reason you only smell it for 30 minutes. You know, it just wore out.
It
I'm
is,
telling
yeah,
you, you know,
it is
wore out.
laughable. It's laughable when you see comments like 30 minutes, 40 minutes, gone.
Yeah. I see it every day.
Gone?
Every single day of my life, I read at least one comment of that
And
every day.
I'm like, we're talking like Nicolas Cage gone in 60 seconds, like gone, like you are out of there, like nothing's
I
left.
think they're talking projection or to the point to where their nose wears out. It's one of the two.
Yes.
Or it's a combination of the two. But it's the
Yeah.
nose wearing out. Point being, we were talking about Sauvage Elixir in the comment. That one spray of that, like I got fussed. I've made videos. In the moment, I made a video of my wife fussing me for wearing 3 sprays. My entire apartment smelled like I was just walking around just spraying. You know? Like she's like in the living room and I got the door open. She's like, God, that's all I smell. Because it's that strong. And I highly doubt they just stripped it away on a new batch and said, ha, we got them. Highly doubt that's what's going on there.
Yeah, just at the time they're presenting the Baccarat special edition. Hey guys, how about you now pay $8,000 for this?
Yeah,
and it's
please buy
it's
this
water now,
limited edition 500 ml that you'll never go through.
That thing is crazy, man.
That's like a collector piece for somebody with a lot of disposable income that also decants.
Yes, I mean, gosh, I hope so. And at the very least, I hope you're not financing it because the interest on that thing, I was checking it out. I'm like,
I saw you made a post.
Oh hell no! I'm like, this is not for you.
Oh my god! Yeah, it was like $2,100 or something like that.
I'm like,
it's crazy.
No, run, run. Ain't worth it. No, it's good, but not that good. My gosh. Okay, I'm just making sure.
Sorry, I derailed you a little bit.
Oh no, I love it. I love it, man.
I love the tangents. I go off on them here and there.
It's all fair game here. I just want to make sure I'm not missing any pressing comments or questions here. Will is asking if we ever mess with perfume oils. It's been a minute for me. Yeah, it has been a minute for me. I love the feeling of spraying, of just that atomized mist and the coverage.
It opens up.
Yeah, I like that. I don't like getting it on my hands because when it's that strong and you got to rub it, now it's on your hand all day. And anyway, I think they're cool, and especially for, performance. If you want that vibe and you just need a little bit, I can totally respect that. No alcohol, you're not drying your skin out and things like that. So that's cool, but it's just not my personal thing these days.
Oil Perfumery does make some good ones. I have a few from them now. I don't really reach for them much, but I have to say their Aventus and their Sauvage, really good. If you want to put that down and then do a couple sprays of your fragrance on top, if you know you're going to be gone all day, that's who I see that benefiting. You'll get more out of your fragrance because that pure oil is just it's Crisco sitting on your skin. It's rich, it's thick, it's heavy, it's not going to project, but you're going to have a nice bubble and trail because what does come off of you is going to be dense. So if you atomize on top of that with the actual fragrance, you get the whole well-rounded experience from start to finish, and increase the longevity exponentially. So situationally, I think they're great options. I'm the same way. I prefer the atomization, the opening it up, the feeling of it, just the full experience of spraying your fragrance, basically.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great option, especially if you are specifically looking for something that lasts long and is alcohol free. Totally. I think it's a great thing to consider. What was I gonna say? I saw something that I wanted to comment on. I don't remember now. Anyway, I have a question that everyone can answer. And obviously, Ross, you can too. So here's your instructions, guys.
Before you jump into that, can I answer something from Mike real quick?
Yeah.
So Mike A3 Fragrances, Mike Trickster.
Okay.
So I'm actually not cutting anymore, Mike. I hired my coach, and she switched me to a bulk a couple of days ago because the show cut's going to be 16 weeks, so I'm bulking till the end of January. So that changed like 3 days ago. So all of this is going to be fading. My abs that were coming out are already fading. So because I'm back
Okay.
right, I did a little over 3,000 calories yesterday. I'm hovering around that today. So yeah, the switch up happened. I hired my coach for the show, and she's coach of the year in Louisiana last year. So she gets results,
Wow.
which she says
Wow.
I'm doing. So
Okay,
we'll
man.
it up. But thank you for asking, Mike. Just a
That's
quick update.
awesome. That is awesome. Well, you're still looking bright then. Doesn't
It
even
hasn't
matter.
faded yet. It's only been a
Yeah.
couple of days of going from 1,700 calories to 3,000 is a big difference. You know,
Yes.
not going crazy on the calories. I don't want to do too much, but in a surplus, got to put a little bit more muscle on.
There you go.
Thank you
Smelly.
for letting me do that.
Oh man, yeah. Of course. Smelly, thank you. I always love that avatar. It is just so
It's
menacing,
funny
but
though.
so hilarious. I want to thank you guys, every fragrance channel, for an amazing 2 year fragrance journey. You've ended it with Reflection 45. Goodbye, guys. Okay. Well, Smelly, we
We did
appreciate
it
you.
twice.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate. Yeah, I don't know if that was a mistake, but nonetheless, Smelly, thank you. This is kind of, in a way, like our goal. When we talk about fragrances and we talk about how to discover new fragrances, all the, everything surrounding them, we're essentially, trying to teach people how to fish. And once they know how to fish, they can just go fish. Um, you don't necessarily have to be on YouTube 8 hours a day or buying up every sample or whatever. Um, yeah, we kind of naturally phase out, maybe with time. So I think that's just natural part of the process. So happy we could help, and I think Reflection 45 is a good one to go out with. That's a great scent.
I would like to get a bottle of that still. I like how it's a deeper, more earthy and woody take
Yeah.
on Reflection, man. I don't think it's too redundant to have both. I just haven't
No,
gotten around to getting it. It
it's
is in some ways superior, and then in other situations, the original is the better wear. Like I see function for both.
totally. Yeah, I have a decant somewhere from Amouage. I can't
Same.
find it. I've been
I
looking
have the
for it
little
for
4 pack
months.
of the first four
Yeah,
extra.
totally. Yeah, I've been looking for it for months and I can't find it, but I do remember spraying it once and I'm like, man, this is good. I do think that the original is still a little bit more versatile,
Yeah,
but I think
for sure.
the X-Straight is a little bit more special, perhaps. Um, okay, let's see here. All right, so here's my question. Guys, I want you to type a 1 in the chat if you, and be honest here, everybody be honest, you've bought a fragrance based on someone else telling you it will get you compliments. I'm going to raise my hand because I've done it. Go ahead and put a 1 in the
Put my one
chat.
in the chat.
I'm going to put mine in there too. You
Yeah,
bought a fragrance
we've
because
all
someone else said it would get you compliments. Not because they said it got them, but because they said it gets compliments just objectively. You bought it.
guaranteed.
Okay, I'm seeing lots of ones. Everybody, thank you for your honesty. All genre bops. All right.
Shout out to
Somebody
Joe.
had to do it. Oh, we have an absolutely not. All right.
Aren't you
Oops, wrong
fancy?
channel.
Yeah, he's doing that
If
for
you don't
Joe.
say one, you're lying. Yes, I would imagine most of us have done it. Keone's putting 3. You've done it 3 times. All right. I only buy see Puissance in here always always coming in with the craziness.
Mhm.
Okay. Yes. So we've all done it. Okay. So here's my next question. Type a 2 in the chat if that fragrance did not work as advertised. If you have yet to get a compliment on that fragrance, unsolicited from a stranger, I'm going to put
A
2 in the
lot of them.
chat. Yeah.
A lot of fragrances I have never gotten a compliment. That's why the ones that do stand out.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
That's why it's
And
noteworthy for when you're creating
yeah,
content. It's like, well, this happened. Because as soon as you look at that fragrance bottle, you think of those.
Yeah. Ross, would you say that some of your compliments, maybe most of them, I don't know, have been surprises? Like you maybe didn't put a fragrance on at the start of the day thinking that you could possibly get a compliment on that scent. And then you get one. You're like, oh, yeah, cool.
I would say at least half of the time.
Okay.
Like when I wear certain ouds, I don't expect it. And believe it or not, more times than not, that's what gets complimented for me. Oud tobacco from Montpal, the oud from Mancera, just
honestly,
rosé.
It's been
Rosé is
notorious.
Yes. Notorious. Yes. I almost expect it when I wear it and go out in the world now. Rosé is one of those, for me, magnet.
Yes. No, I feel the same way. And I've had a similar experience with oud. Surprisingly, being, one fragrance in particular, Oud Galore, one of my absolute favorites.
Oh, well, yeah,
from
that's
Chris
stunning.
Collins. This was probably back in August. I played a show here in Portland on a rooftop of a hotel. They had a special, jazz night that night. I brought a band in. People bought tickets, hung out, had drinks and snacks, and it was just a cool vibe. After the show, I'm sitting at a table out on the rooftop. It's outside. It's breezy with this group of friends. One of which was a friend. The others were her friends. So I was just meeting all of them. And one of the girls was like, I've been meaning to tell you for like the last 15 minutes that your fragrance is, and she was like, it doesn't just smell great. It smells like you, like it is your vibe.
Fair.
And I was like, and I was so taken aback. I was like, damn, no one has ever said that before. I mean, that's the goal every day.
That's like the most articulate compliment.
Yeah. She's like, whatever it is, it just suits you. Like, it's not just a nice scent in the air. It smells like, oh, that's you. That's your energy. And I'm like,
it's got to be just
okay. And I've kind of always felt that way wearing it, even not really getting compliments. I'm just like, whatever it is, this thing just resonates with me. So I'm like, that just affirmed it. I'm like, okay, like, cool. Someone else gets it. Obviously, if she had never said that, I'd still be worrying about it, talking about it to this day. I did have a follow-up question to the questions I just asked, and that is in regards to, so guys, put a 3 in the chat. This is the final one. I appreciate your honesty. 3 in the chat. If that fragrance that you bought because it was recommended as a compliment getter did not get you compliments, 3 in the chat. If you don't really wear it anymore because it disappointed you.
And
again, there's no wrong answers here. I'm not calling anybody out. This is just an open space, open forum. Yeah, for us to just talk about what's working and what's not working.
You will not be criticized in these discussions. I can promise.
Yeah. No, we
may crack some jokes about each other, but that's about it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, so I figured that it would get smaller and smaller as we went up. I know that we're naturally affected by people. We're social creatures, and even if someone doesn't say your fragrance doesn't smell good, if they say nothing, then you might be like, well, maybe they don't like it and they're not saying anything. Yeah, it's broken.
My fragrance is broken.
Yeah, I think a lot of us could maybe have this fear of like, oh no, if no one's saying anything, maybe everyone's just being nice and it's not pleasant at all and they're just not telling me. So maybe I shouldn't wear it because they're not affirming that it's good, so they must think it's bad. And we can never know. You'll never know unless you do an open poll right then and there in an awkward fashion. Excuse me, everyone. Excuse me. Please let me know if you like my fragrance or not. All answers,
good or bad, all feedback is welcome. Yeah.
Like, that's just weird. But you could do that, and you get some looks for sure, and maybe some answers. But I think we fall into that sometimes. We start to lose security in ourselves because, man, so and so said this fragrance would be well liked. And so far, no one has confirmed that.
My favorite.
Yeah. Go
My
ahead.
favorite is either did I buy a fake or did I just get a bad batch?
Oh,
See a
yes.
lot of that. A lot of that. When it comes to the performance thing or the not getting compliments, it's one or the other. I've
Yes.
seen that come up a good bit over the years. And it's like, and they're like, I bought it from Fragrance Net. Is it possible that I got a fake? And it's like, no, you did not get a fake from Fragrance
Mm,
Net. Well, I've seen stuff on, reviews on the internet. That's people being bitches. That's not real reviews. Fragrance
yes.
Nets, if you hear us discounters we talk about, they're legit. We don't do
Totally.
business with people that sell fakes.
Oh, yeah.
As most don't. Most people that you'll watch talking about fragrance don't deal with counterfeit sites.
Yes.
But it's never the bad batch thing or the, basically the fragrance is broken, like I was making a joke. But that kind of stuff, I do get asked that, as I'm sure you do as well. Like, did I
Mm.
just get a bad batch?
Oh, yeah. All the time. All
Like
the
it
time.
has to work. Like there's no way it's not working. Something's wrong with the fragrance.
Yes. I mean, it comes down to something that we've talked about before, and it's just this weird little metaphor that I have with, or more of an analogy of treating fragrances like cars, which is a lot of the time how they're seen today in terms of performance, mainly, and in terms of how the reactions of others. Like there are these built-in guarantees, like horsepower or top speed or handling, like the things in a car that you can quantify that off, you know out of the factory, each one of them should be doing the same thing. Ideally they all have the same specs if it's one car, so that when you
But
buy that car.
there's still a human variable here. Is
Of
your
course.
timing fast enough? So even in that, because I've heard you use that example a bunch of times,
Yeah.
while the variation from situation to situation is minimal when we're talking something like that, but there's still that human
Yeah.
variable in those
I mean, when it
situations.
comes to driving, I think that is true, and that comes into play more when if you're like racing, then yeah, you're going to be pushing those specs to the limit and seeing if
Mhm.
they really are what they are. But just every day, like, oh, it's green light, let me hit the gas, and you're just like, oh, this thing is not.
You were
This
playing on
thing
your
is,
phone at the light, you hear a
yeah.
horn behind you.
Yes, totally. But at the end of the day, most
Uh,
people don't really care who are buying, just regular consumers don't care. But if you do care, you can pretty much rest assured that you're going to get what's being promised. However, that does not exist with fragrances. No brands are really coming out, at least there's a few who do this, who are coming out and saying, hey, 15 plus hours guaranteed with these fragrances. And also, we tested it worldwide, compliments in every room. So you can also rest assured with that too. Those are not guarantees, right? So when we treat it this way, you are guaranteed to be disappointed, because people ask, well, what's the performance? I'm like, I don't know. You have to wear it and then you'll know. I can't tell you how it's going to last for you. I can't make any guarantees, and you definitely can't guarantee other people liking what you have on. So I think when we can shift our focus to what you alluded to earlier, which is we are the variable. No matter what you put on your body, once you do, you are the variable. You are what people have to like. Your scent is a part of you. It's in the air. It's kind of external, sure, but once it's on you, there's no guarantees of anything. It's not like,
pH
okay,
level,
yeah,
hydration level,
totally,
moisture,
totally.
skin moisturization, all of these things factor. There's so much that plays into it. It's not as cut and dry as people want it to be.
Yeah, we
I wish it
wish.
was that cut and dry. That'd be
Yeah,
phenomenal if it was
yeah,
that
of
simple,
course. Yeah,
you
I
know,
mean, if it was a product, like, oh, this is a product, and the company, they
backed by
crafted
guarantee.
it. Yes, they manufactured it in such a way that it will do this thing a certain way. That's not. This is like the most abstract thing ever. It's liquid that you put on your body, and then it diffuses, and people smell it. It's kind
Spray
of,
and pray.
yeah, it sounds like alchemy. It sounds like it's really weird and kind of esoteric when you think about it, even though it is, it's definitive and we figured it out down to a science, sure. And there are things that perfumers might try to do, like, oh yes, I was experimenting with this molecule and hopefully it helps with integrity. But even then, they can't slap anything on the bottle saying 12 plus guaranteed or your money back, right?
There's a few that have made that marketing mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Guaranteed 12 hours. Like, you can't do that. No. You're about to get a lot of heat. And that's usually is what happens.
Yes, indeed. Okay. I don't have too much more to input into this topic. I have one more thing I'll say that we can touch on. Also, I did want to touch on this comment. I put this up a minute ago. I forgot. Florine Tanasa. Huh?
I've been wanting this fragrance he's talking about.
Okay.
It's the only one in the line I don't have.
The question I have for Florine, and I don't know if Florine is still here to answer this. He said Ferragamo spicy leather was disappointing for me. I don't wear it that often. I saw that comment come in around the time we were talking about not wearing fragrances because they didn't get us compliments. So I was wondering, like, was it disappointing in that I don't like how it smells? It didn't live up to the scent, or disappointing as in nobody said anything? Anyway, if you're still here, feel free
Based
to elaborate.
on the context, I want to assume he just didn't like the way it smelled.
Yeah.
That's disappointment.
Totally.
Could be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I put it up there as soon as I saw it in that context of what we were talking about, but so much time has passed now, it's probably irrelevant. Wayne Freeman, thank you so much. Appreciate the super chat. Okay. Do you ever get this comment? I know you do. But
Probably.
Pretend like it's new information. Have you ever seen someone say up to you? Have you ever seen someone say, oh man, like I'll just pick a fragrance like Prada Luna Rossa Carbon. Like, gosh, Prada Luna Rossa Carbon is the greatest.
I know where this is
it
going.
Gets me a compliment every time I wear it. It is so good. Do you ever get comments like that?
All the time.
And
I know your immediate reply.
Yeah. I have my reply. I have my immediate thought that comes to mind. And I'm more tactful about it these days. In the past and videos, I used to be very heavy-handed with how I respond to that. And I definitely made some people upset.
You
but
can't be
now
they get upset.
You're not wrong.
Yeah. Take it from me.
Yes. So I usually ask them, like, okay, well, how do you feel about the fragrance itself? Like, do you like it? And I've had a number of responses. Some people will say, yeah, actually, I love it. It's amazing. And I assume that they're not factoring in what they just said about compliments and they would like it either way. But I just believe them. Like, okay, cool, great, amazing. Glad you like it and glad it works. And then some people say, not really.
It's okay.
In fact, I don't know why people like it so much, but people
works.
like it, so I wear it. Yeah, it works.
It works. That's the quote. It works.
Yeah. And I haven't figured out exactly what to do with that these days. I mean, I
picture the sad face tear emoji when I read stuff like
that. The smile, like,
that's great that you get a compliment, but they're not wearing it all day. You are.
Yes.
Yes,
totally. And it begs the question, like, how far are we willing to go for a compliment? I did a stupid video a few months ago where I talked about an eye patch. So, like, imagine you're on YouTube, you're on social media, and the biggest hot thing that pops up is like, oh, there's all these reviewers talking about an eye patch. If you buy this eye patch, you are guaranteed compliments. And so, you're looking at them on camera and you're like, it looks ridiculous, but they're guaranteeing I'm going to get a compliment like every time, 100% of the time. So you go ahead, you go on Amazon, you buy it. It's like $24, no biggie. You get it in and you're like trying it on. You're like, I mean, it doesn't really look like me, but hey, compliments. And you go out into the world and you get compliments. It works. And it's like, are you going to stick to that? Is that going to now, like, hey, yeah, totally
hinder
worth
your
it?
vision over it?
We're not talking about
Get the
that. That's
Louis
not even.
Vuitton one, so you got the Louis patch.
Yes, yes. It doesn't even matter. It's worth the half
Oh my
blindness.
god.
It's worth it. So that's my question.
Oh,
Like, guys in the chat, you're welcome to answer. Are you wearing that eye patch? Are you buying it? If it is guaranteed 100% of the time, are you buying it? For
not a chance for me. Not a chance. Not a chance. I don't care.
Oh man, Cersei are still waiting on that top 10 eye patches for
I was
winter.
about to say, then you're gonna see people doing top 10 eye patches for whatever, you know. Oh my god.
Yes, man. Yeah, I mean, it really it's the question. Like, if compliments are the goal, like
All I
the
visualize
yes.
you walking in the room and the camera cuts to Cust and he goes, "What's up, bro?" And he's got the eye patch.
I should have done
That's
that.
I keep getting that visual.
I should have done that. I didn't
That's
even
who
think
would
about
fall
that.
for that. That's
Yes.
exactly who would be into it.
Yes, yes, indeed. Oh my gosh.
Oh my god.
I see an attention span is saying nope, absolutely not. Not buying the eye patch. When I did this video and I had people responding, kind of answering that question on the video, a lot of people were saying no. Most people were like, no, I would not do that. Absolutely not. There were a few who were like, well, I mean, if I like the way, if it looks okay on my body, if it doesn't make me look super crazy.
I think they were playing around. They can't be serious.
I was, because we went back and forth and they're like, yeah, it's not that expensive and it's guaranteed. Like, yeah, who wouldn't want compliments? I'm like, okay. Yeah, I mean, that's how far you'll go. That's how far you'll go. And that's okay. I'm not judging. I think it's just good for us to think about these things.
To each their own,
Yeah, because it could be anything. Obviously,
I would
we're talking about
assume
fragrances.
something's up with your eye if I see it. I'm gonna assume there's something going on with your eye because that's the function of the eye patch.
Yes, exactly. To cover up some kind of.
I'm be like, damn, what happened to your eye? Not, oh man, bro.
The patch.
Where did you get it?
The patch, bro.
The first question is, holy shit, what happened to your eye?
Yes, exactly. Mr. Gumbo, thank you so much. One of the best names
on YouTube.
Yes, Mr. Gumbo, aka
Shout out to Louisiana.
I'm glad Nishan AB612. It's an eye patch gem.
There you go.
Appreciate you, man.
Shout out to the eye patch fragrances. See, the key is you have to spray the patch down before you put it over your eye.
Yes, that's right. Just make sure you spray the outside, not the inside.
Yeah, not the inside.
Oh, you're gonna be
that way it'll project better.
Yes. Every time you turn your head,
yeah,
people are right here. They'll be like, "Damn, you smell great."
Beast mode.
If Jennifer Aniston said they turn her on, then I will wear one if I get close to her. Okay, Kyler.
All right, then, Kyler.
Right. There you go. You got a specific vision, half a vision, when it comes to why you would wear it. I could respect that. You have purpose behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Florine, I must say that I bought some fragrances as a result of some of your videos, Justin. Kenzo Pour Homme EDP, good one. Narcisse Bleu Noir, very good. Scent of the Day smells amazing after 8 hours. All right. I'm glad you are enjoying those fragrances. That is why we make these videos. So you guys can check them out. And if you like them, amazing.
Hey, don't feel bad. Justin sold me on Kenzo Homme Eau de Parfum as well. And he was not wrong.
I couldn't shut up about it. When I'm like, okay,
if
guys.
Justin's going to rave about a marine blue, give it a shot. Because that's not his thing. That's my thing.
Yes, for sure.
He does not typically wear those. So if he's digging it, must be a good one. And yeah.
For sure.
A leather aquatic. That's so strange.
Yeah.
Love. Leather aquatic. It just works.
Smoky leather aquatic, still fresh but dark, super strong.
Guaranteed beast mode compliment getter.
Guaranteed. The ladies will be as wet as the ocean. No, that's terrible.
That's
I saw in Fragrantica, they on some of the more popular fragrances, they have that new AI feature where it's like doing the pros and cons, but it's done artificially to extract from the comments. Stuff. Yes. And one of the top cons on that fragrance, on the Kenzo, is that the cap doesn't stay on. I guess a lot of people have said that. It's like, oh, the cap is cheap and flimsy and it doesn't stay on, doesn't stay in place. I'm like,
Are you
what?
playing with your bottle?
Yeah, I'm like,
you pick it up, pull the cap, spray it, and put it the hell back.
I mean, I don't know. Like maybe I don't have any problems with my cap, but either way,
Dang.
I wouldn't really care. Just me personally, even if it did. It's not a super expensive fragrance. It's a plastic cap. Like,
yeah,
I don't know what you could really be asking for, but hey, all right. Sir Siaj says, to be honest, when I was an insecure young single man, I would have done anything prime era Jeremy told me to. Okay. If he told me to get an eye patch to
looking
give
for
me
that
that
sexy
confidence,
accord, huh?
I probably would.
A lot of people get sucked into looking for that sexy accord he came up with.
The sexy accord.
The sexy
Oh my
accord.
gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to
Seriously.
them.
Yeah, I saw he was at Sin Explorer.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually surprised to see that, but I don't know.
wasn't. He's been a
People
few times.
were.
He was there when we went.
I know he went the first time, but that was a different Jeremy.
That was almost 4.
Yeah.
No, 4 years ago.
Yeah, over 4 years now.
Yeah.
That was pre-white suit Jeremy, I think.
Yeah, he was wearing. He was not wearing a white suit then. He was wearing a navy suit at the event.
He was looking clean and whatever. But all the respect to him.
He was jocking your style. You were wearing a navy suit. Actually,
I sure was. Yes, I was. How many hours would the eye patch last? 3 question marks.
39 hours on patch. That's a new category. On patch.
On patch. Yes.
On patch.
Anyway, yeah, that is, in terms of compliments, that's what I had, guys. If you have any specific questions of pot stirring variety, feel free to ask them. Otherwise, happy to just chop it up for a little bit longer with Ross here while we got him.
Ziggy Daceman, thank God. I don't know if you see Ziggy Daceman's comment. It's the second to newest one.
I'm watching you guys. This one?
Yeah.
Keeps getting by YouTube. Okay. Yeah.
Sorry to hear that it's annoying. Just click skip ad. Justin greatly appreciates those commercials popping up, I can assure you.
Yes.
What up?
Ziggy, it's how we continue to make these videos, unfortunately.
It's beneficial for you more than just YouTube. So we're appreciative of it. I apologize if it can be a little bit of a frustration. Just hopefully it was one you can click skip ad after 5 seconds.
Totally. I sure hope so. Let's see. Anything else here? Looking for the do you think that Isola Blue is mediocre for the price? Oh, that is a very specific kind of like, that question is very leading in a way. It's like, so do you think it's mediocre? I'm like, well, no one ever said that, but do you think it's mediocre?
I gave it a 10 out of 10, but they'll say, but they sent it to you. Okay, that's a fair point.
Of course.
I can understand the argument. But it's been popping up for $203 lately, and I would totally spend $203 on the fragrance.
I didn't know.
Do I want to pay what its retail is? No, I'm not going to lie, no. But for $203, I see the value in the fragrance. I do. Jason recently got it from Fragrance Net for $203. Like a couple days ago.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Isola I don't think it's mediocre at all. I love it.
No, I don't think it's a mediocre scent as well, but Stefan, it's going to be up to you to decide if it is worth the price. In terms of what it is, which is a rich, opulent, complex, but easy to wear, fresh fragrance of great quality for the summertime that honestly may or may not be a super strong fragrance for the price you pay. I don't consider it to be above average in terms of a fresh fragrance performance, and especially in comparison to the previous iterations of it. Oligarch EDP was even stronger, honestly, than current Isola Blue, and maybe even the Parfum was a little stronger too. For me, I find it
definitely louder.
Yes,
but I get similar longevity amongst the whole range.
Three. Okay. Yeah, for me it was sitting lighter earlier. But I think scent-wise, it's still fantastic. Like just the scent experience, the sillage you get it's just quality. It smells luxurious. So
Mm-hmm.
obviously, I would sample it first if you can, because even 203 is not a cheap price to pay
No.
for something you've never smelled. Um, but your life, your money.
Yeah, blind
You,
buying luxury fragrance is a risky game.
mm,
Definitely sample first. I,
indeed.
I mean, I encourage sampling an $80 fragrance, let alone something that at discounters is over 200. Yeah,
That's right.
definitely sample.
Definitely. Mike is saying, I think frags get compliments in part because they make some people feel really confident, and confidence is sexy. Oh, yeah. Yeah, totally.
That's a
And I think that
fair
goes
statement.
back, yeah, it goes back to the idea of if you wear what you actually love, it's going to make you more confident, not because of what other people might say, but because, as a lot of you guys in the chat were saying earlier, because you smell great. You already know it. It's like game, set, match player. Like, I know I smell great. No matter.
It
So if
goes
anyone
back to
else
the
says it,
personality
cool.
match. It takes it up a level with
Yes,
certain scent profiles for you. You're dressing a certain way. You know you're going to want to wear a certain scent profile to match your vibe and your appeal, and it's going to
mm,
create this level of confidence that if you were in a t-shirt with a lesser, a more casual scent profile, you may not have that same level of confidence. Not that you won't be confident.
for sure.
It's different levels, basically, is what it comes
For
down to.
sure. Yeah, agreed. I feel like if you want people to take you seriously, you can't really be too put together. You don't have to wear a tuxedo everywhere you go. That's a little creepy. People gonna get serial killer vibes. But if you're grooming yourself, you're wearing clothes that fit you. Doesn't matter what the clothes are, but wear for the occasion. Nothing super crazy oversized or nothing, schmedium and smaller. You know, um, I think, yeah, you're gonna just make sense to people. And if you got something that you love sprayed on, then yeah, great bonus. Here's an interesting question. When was the last time for both of us you gave an unsolicited compliment to someone, not in fragcom or friend/family, someone you didn't know, and what was the fragrance? Hmm. Any
What
particular
was she
experiences
wearing?
come to mind?
This what happened about 2 weeks ago when I was in Louisiana at Marshall's. I forgot what the lady said she was wearing, but I had to stop her. I said,
Hmm.
I just have to know what you're wearing. It smells fantastic. She was at the fitting room. I was going to try something on
Okay.
her. They got put on the rack and they give you your number for how many items you have. I forgot what
Yes.
she said it was, but I remember the situation. It was very captivating. It didn't smell like a cheap vanilla. It smelled like a decent quality vanilla. And what the hell was it? I don't remember. Believe it was maybe a YSL fragrance. I think it was designer, but it didn't smell like a cheap vanilla. You know how the cloying cheap vanillas smell sometimes. So that happened
Mm-hmm.
recently. I want to let her know. 'Cause you smell wonderful. I just have to know what you're wearing.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
can't remember what fragrance
Okay.
though. But it was like 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Happened recently.
Okay. Man, guys, I'll tell you what. I mean, this is such a great question,
Hmm.
Mr. Sniffington, and I'll answer in just a second. But um, I made a video not long ago, and I think it was something about like how to get more compliments or something. And it was one of those videos that is not exactly what it seems, but it also kind of delivers on the promise. And I'll just spoil the video for some of you who haven't seen it and maybe won't watch it. But it was like a secret to getting more compliments. And the secret is give more compliments. Now, does that mean people are going to then reciprocate and give you a compliment right back? No, not necessarily. But I'd say your chances of that happening or something of that nature happening exponentially increase when you open the door by
Karma.
giving first. Yeah, you give first, and now the chances go up a whole lot higher than if you said nothing, right? Because I think what is happening here on YouTube in this space is that consumers are being conditioned to be these social vacuums. It's like, I want compliments. I put the fragrance on. I go out into the world, compliment me, 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 me. I smell good. Me. It's all about me. And yeah, you want to be empowered and yeah, we're all supporting your own personal journey with the fragrances that we recommend, but we don't want to become vacuums where we're only focused on self. Turn your attention to other people and you'll be way more fulfilled than if you got a compliment. Anyway, coming back to the question, the last unsolicited compliment I gave, it was at an event, got a little bit more upscale. Everyone was in suits, and I was standing next to this guy, and I caught a whiff of something very specific, very familiar. I'm like, Aventus? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, smells great on you. And he's like, oh, thanks.
Nike
Yeah, I was
factory
just in
store
France.
that happened to me.
Okay.
Where I was like, you're wearing Aventus. He's like,
Yeah.
how do you know it's not something that smells like Aventus? That was his immediate response. I said,
Oh,
you
it's
can
like,
tell the difference when it's good quality. You're
yeah.
wearing Aventus. He's like, you're good. And then that went into,
Yes.
I should be. I would hope I would be. So,
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt,
That's
but that's
awesome.
literally
No, yeah.
I had that where I'm like, you're wearing Aventus. You can totally tell the difference.
Totally. And, the cool thing about this experience for me was that it actually affected me in a way I didn't expect. So I said that, he said, oh yeah, it's Aventus. I was just in France with my family, and I just bought a bottle there, and it's a lot cheaper there to buy it retail than it is here. And he's like, yeah, I've been wearing it like crazy and I'm loving it. I'm like, well, yeah, it suits you well. And it was just a subtle aura. I only smelled it when I got close, and I was just like, that is good. And I hadn't worn Aventus in some time. So I went home and I'm like, let me revisit my 2020 bottle, which I have not touched in like 2 years. I gave it a spray, and then I made
was spoiled, right? No, not the 2020
of my older bottle.
Yeah.
Yes, I haven't touched the 2016. I think it's okay, but it has flattened a bit. But the 2020, which was the 10th anniversary bottle, I went back, I sprayed it on, and I'm like, this is different. And similar to what happened to my bottle of Viking cologne, which when I got it smelled like toilet cleaner. And after a couple of years of maturing, it just opened up into like, oh, this is what it's supposed to be. And I was just reminded of like, Creed's fragrances have to sit. When you get them brand new, they've got to sit for a while to become their fullest selves, because Creed maybe just doesn't really macerate all that much or for very long. I don't know how it works exactly, but it has changed. That 2020 bottle has gotten richer. I get more of a juicy pineapple, less of like a bergamot. I get more vanilla out of it, and it hangs around longer. So I'm like, it kind of like renewed my.
Did the same thing. My 19S11 batch, it is fruitier. And I get more vanilla.
Okay. Yeah, it just that one little experience of me commenting on his scent, it kind of reignited my interest and reminded me of my love for Aventus, to the point where I started reaching for it again. I hadn't worn it with any regularity for years. So I came back to it. I'm just like, man, I remember, this is kind of what I remember about it. It was really a magical moment. So you never know what's going to come of you giving out some good vibes to people.
I'm not gonna lie. Every time I smell Aventus or something like Aventus, I compliment whatever guy's wearing it, and I say, and I ask, is it Aventus? Or in that situation at the Nike factory store, I was convinced it was, and turns out I was right. But I've come to the realization that I actually like Aventus on others more than on me. I love the fragrance, but I love when I get a random whiff on someone else, because it doesn't happen all the time. But I would say, if I had to put a number per times, a year, I would say at least a dozen times a year, I randomly smell that scent profile on somebody, and it's always a joy. And I'm like, God, it just smells so good, and I make it a point to go compliment them. But that's the thing, though, right? Dudes compliment dudes that wear Aventus.
Yes. Yes, totally, man. Yeah, that's so interesting. And I have other fragrances like that myself, of scents that I've smelled on others and I appreciate them, but I don't really care for them on me. Honestly, like Baccarat Rouge, I have that
I love that one.
relationship with, where I just don't care about smelling it around me when I wear it, when I've just worn a decant. The X-Straight is different. I like the X-Straight a lot.
That's the better one.
But the EDP just doesn't really do it. But when I get it on, I smell it on women all the time. And I'm like, and I smell immediately, my brain is like bloodhound. I'm like, Who has it? Where?
Well, every
And it
time you
just
always know.
catches me. Yeah, and I'm like, "Is that you? Are you wearing?" Oh yeah, MFK. Oh yeah. And I'm like, "You're
Have you
killing it."
ever tried Electimus Trajan?
Nope.
It's a fresher take on the EDP. It's not as cotton candy sweet. I like it better than Baccarat Rouge 540 Eau de Parfum. I got it recently. It was like $100 from Fragrance Buy. I was surprised. I was like, yeah, I'll give it a shot.
Hmm.
Jason was praising, and a few others were like, oh man, you would like this if you like BR 540. I
Okay.
think it's better. You get
Hmm.
all of it's an Electimus fragrance, so it's very high quality stuff. There's some
Yeah.
citruses going on here. It's not just burnt sugar and all of that. You get it. That's kind of toned down. It's just an
Okay.
overall fresher take without sacrificing longevity. It's more airy. It's not as heavy
Okay.
of a sillage. It's more airy in its wear.
Yes.
Beautiful stuff. You might, if I see you in 20, because I get asked all the time about us doing content. If I see you in 2024, I need to remember to bring this
Yeah.
and use it
Totally.
in video, or if nothing else, just for you to try it to see if you like it. Because
Okay.
if you're more of an extrait guy and kind of iffy on the EDP, maybe this is the one. Who knows?
Hmm.
There's
Okay.
always a new thing to try.
Oh yeah. No, I'm interested. I would love to try that. Um, Enrique asked this question: which perfume gives more compliments, sweet or fresh scents? So, great question. Um, the first thing I'll say is, in light of everything we've said today in the last hour and 31 minutes, um, it's hard to determine that. Nobody can say yes. Scientifically speaking, these fragrances will be more liked than these, especially with sweet and fresh. Sweet and fresh are both very pleasant attributes, and it's going to vary from person to person. You could even just be crude and say 50% will like this, 50% will like that. It's not that clear cut, but that's just how taste can be. Honestly, my answer to your question, and this is actually something I heard George the Fragrance Apprentice say years ago in a video that I really just agreed with, and it kind of like turned on a light bulb. And he said, think about it. Some of the most attractive, mass appealing fragrances, especially in the mainstream market, feature, you can boil it down to a collection of a few distinct elements: freshness, sweetness, and maybe spice. But especially freshness and sweetness, if you put them together, then you are on the road to something that most people will enjoy. Now, again, and exactly who's going to like one or the other, it's going to depend. I think you have quite a polarization there. But once you combine them, I think that's the more relevant answer to your question. Both. I would say both. If that's what you're looking for, is compliments, mass appeal, both are going to give you a pretty good chance at people liking it. Um, Now, if you want to be more strategic about occasion and time of year, then yeah, we can talk about summertime. Fresh is going to be better. Citruses pop when there's heat. They're more vibrant and juicy, and fruits, and as well. And then sweet stuff like vanilla, tonka bean, amber, save that for the cooler weather when they don't get cloying in the heat. Um, but you put them together, you might have a magical combo. But I'm curious what you think, Ross.
So I would like to start by saying I'm really happy that I decided to move the bottle to the rotation pile over there, because I got a real good whiff of my own sillage and I smell phenomenal. Just want to throw that out there.
Nice.
Love Strong With You leather. It's so good. Underappreciated fragrance. Try it, guys. With this, I echo your sentiments, because there is no right answer here. There's no way to really determine that. You could survey 10 people with what you believe to be the best fresh fragrance and the best sweet fragrance, and then you could survey a different 10 people, and the ratio is probably going to be totally different. And then the next 10, the ratio will change again. So, like he was saying, it's brilliance that came from Atkinson to say that you combine the two and you have something going here, because most of the time that is the case. The trend has been sweet and spicy more so than fresh and sweet as of late, but the modern masculine trend has been fresh and sweet. You've seen the overrun of sweet designers, but they don't
Yes.
go they try to veer away from just too sweet. That's where you get the balance of
Hmm.
some freshness or some spice. It's all the elements that you mentioned. What I'm wearing, sweet and spice, with a little twist of a leather accord, basically. But the core of it, sweet and spice.
Yeah.
So there's always and I just literally talked about how great I think I smell. Right on cue. Talking about my own fragrance.
Yes.
So it's there's no wrong or right answer, but that is
For
the most common options here. If you're walking that path and you care for somebody to tell you smell good, you probability goes up with something like that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I agree. I think at the very least, that type of scent profile will smell normal to people. It may not be like, oh, compliments, but you're going to smell extremely pleasant to most people. Will you get a compliment? I think that's going to depend on where you are, how comfortable the people around you are with you. Honestly, I think it's since, at least for me, in my experience, most of the random compliments I've gotten have been on scents that people may not consider to be guaranteed compliment getters. Stuff that's maybe a little bit more special, not off the wall, niche, super crazy artistic all the time, but just some other profiles. Like there's one I can think of right now. I don't know if you've tried it. It's from Bois 1920, and it's called Dolce di Giorno. I've been talking about it for years, and it's kind of like this. It's a beautiful combo of elements. It's dry cedar wood as like the base. On top of that is plum, like a juicy dark plum, vanilla and cinnamon working together. So kind of creamy but warm, spicy, sweet. And then in the middle of that is cypriol, which is kind of like this old wood smell, almost like old library, old wooden barrel, which gives it just a twist of character. So it's not just regular. Without it, I think it would just be kind of basic, sweet, spicy, warm, woody, little fruity. But it adds this little twist in there that I think makes it different. When people smell it, it doesn't smell like anything they've smelled before. And I think people might be more apt to say something when they smell something not familiar, especially if it's not unpleasant and it's not overwhelming, right? Anyway, that's not guaranteed, but something to think about, guys. The more special fragrances can do it too, depending on how they're worn. So
I've got two. Well, it goes back to the two I mentioned earlier. One that I would never expect to be, and I remember this specific, the first time I wore it, Menthol Oud Tobacco. The cashier and the person bagging my groceries at King Soopers, which is Kroger in Colorado. Oh, that's very smoky. Is it you or you? To me and my wife. And I was like, well, smoky, that's that smells great. What is that? And the other one's like, I was just thinking the same thing. You smell phenomenal. What fragrance are you wearing? Menthol Oud Tobacco. Like when I did my first impressions, I related the opening to Flintstone vitamins. Okay. not the most like, oh my God, guys, this is going to be a compliment magnet, but that specific scenario, I was kind of taken back. Like, wow, this fragrance, really? And then actually in the same grocery store, different time, I go back to Rosé. It's like, I almost expected at this point, because Rosé is such a unique fragrance that, and it really radiates off of the skin. So when people smell it, it's a very captivating aroma. There's no guarantee with any fragrance, but I'll tell you what, you walk around somewhere with Rosé on, you're going to have a good shot here. If you want to just do a blind test and see if you can get a damn compliment, walk through the grocery store with a couple sprays of Rosé on and let me know how it goes for you. I'm not guaranteeing nothing, but I'm going to say your probability is pretty high here. Because that's been my experience. Of course, I would assume some of you might happens with my wife. The probability is really good with that one because of the uniqueness while combining this intoxicating level with this aroma. It's a very sensual, somewhat seductive type of smell. So that's what you get, things like that when you step outside of these mass marketed fragrances. Mass marketed falls in line with these luxury fragrances too. Your PDMs, your Creeds, even on Watch. They're mass marketed. They're publicly traded companies. They're marketed across the globe, whereas these smaller niches, maybe you don't expect things like that because you don't even know if anybody else knows about them outside of our little community, let alone something that you're wearing because you love, and then all of a sudden you get blindsided. Oh my God, you smell great. Me?
Yes.
I smell this. You know?
You sure? Yeah.
Yeah, you
No,
should. My
I'm
fragrance.
yeah. I'm gonna go. I love what you said, and I'm gonna go on a limb and say something that's a little generalized, but it's just kind of just the way I see it. I think that the mass market, mass appealing, the sweet fresh, what is called the sweet fresh fragrances, the perfect
Mm-hmm.
combos of likable scents that you wear. I think if we can assign any guarantees to fragrances, we can guarantee that that type of fragrance is intended to just make you smell not unpleasant. It's meant to make you just kind of be in there, to fit in, to not stand out as something repulsive
Generic
or
personality.
something. Yes, and this is not a bad thing. It's
Mm-hmm.
just meant to make you just like, you can just rest assured with this safety net, like, okay, people are not going to hate the way I smell. It will give that to you without question. But as you're describing, and it's kind of how I was describing, when there is something special and specific about a scent profile, it has a face, it has something distinguishable that's attention grabbing and not too strong. That's when I think you start to enter this territory of getting what honey is asking us about, getting memorable compliments from people. Because there's something different when someone says, "You smell nice." That's usually going to happen if you're wearing one of the sweet fresh,
Versace
right?
Mano Fresh.
Yeah,
You'll
you
get that
smell
a
nice.
lot,
But when
you
you have
smell
people
good.
saying, when you have people stopping you and saying, "What are you wearing?" then they're probably asking you that because they have not smelled anything like that before, which means that they're not smelling something generic and super familiar. They're smelling something different. And if you got on a smoky oud with some sweetness and spice and warmth, then you got their attention. Again, it doesn't guarantee compliments, but I do think you might find your compliments being more memorable if you gravitate towards those scents and you wear them correctly. You don't just then it's just nasty and disgusting.
I got another
So
one for you that was quite memorable. And
yeah.
yes, it's another Zahara fragrance for those of you keeping score at home. Royale X. We were at Walmart. I was grabbing some Diet Dr. Pepper. The beer is on the other side of the aisle. It's the soda's here, the beer's there. And there was this lady getting some beers, me and my wife, and she turns around. She touches my wife's arm. She's like, "I really hope this doesn't upset you. It's just he smells so good. I just have to let him know." She's like, "You smell so good. I don't know what you're wearing, but whatever it is, thumbs up." That was exactly what we had a good laugh. We had a good laugh.
Yes.
This was maybe 6 months ago. This was not too long before we moved to Florida. It was in Colorado again. But I tell you guys, it's something about these grocery stores, walking around the grocery stores down an aisle where the trail is a genuine straight trail coming out.
You got like bumpers in a bowling alley
lane. You want a blind study of fragrance, go grocery shopping.
Yeah.
I'm honestly, that's where like 80%, I would say,
yes,
of random strangers compliments that I've gotten in the last few years come from is grocery stores.
Totally. Yeah. I mean,
you're always memorable because it's always some random. It's not because I'm always wearing something that's not just a blue fragrance in those situations. It's always something that's niche for some reason when these things happen. So it goes right back.
So you said, so that scent was, you said signature Royale X. Okay.
Yeah.
I've gotten complimented on Royale X too at the grocery store, but I was walking up to a cashier ready to check out. And I guess I had this cloud around me, and I approach her and she looks up to
aroma.
Yeah, it truly is. For being kind of fresh and light, it is pretty thick.
Mm-hmm.
And she looks up to greet me. Before she starts speaking, she's like, "What are you wearing?" And I'm like, "Oh, I don't know if you'll know, but I, told it's Zaharoff, whatever." And she's like, "Whatever it is, like, damn." I'm like, "Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I said when I sprayed it on. It's good stuff.
Yeah,
it's simple, but there's something definitive about it. When you catch it in the air, I think it's that musk that just kind of grabs the nose and it really gets your attention in a
But then again, guys,
animalistic way.
we're just lying and making it up because we're friends with George. His fragrances
Yep.
aren't actually good. These aren't real scenarios. We coached each other up before the live.
Yes, rosé. Okay, Royal
Yeah.
X. Okay,
I'm gonna do
check.
rosé. I'm
We're
gonna bring
gonna
up X. You tell this story
yes,
about X.
yes, totally. Um, yeah, we get those comments all the
Yeah,
time.
I know it's not most of you guys, but it does happen.
Yeah, it does.
Got to
People are
poke a
like,
little fun,
shills, you're shilling.
Chilling like a villain. That's all it is. Right?
Let's see here. Let's see. Any other? I got a few more minutes here. Let's see if there's any other. Cerciage is agreeing. Rosé is definitely a conversation piece. Not often you smell a man smelling a man's wearing a rose like that. Yeah,
Very true.
it's not often. That thing is. It is so. Yes, it's rich, but it's so wearable.
In the summer,
Gosh,
you wear that in the summer.
yeah,
Both of us have worn it in the summer.
yeah. And when I wore it, it was an accident because when I left Portland, it was
That was
chilly.
when I picked you up from the airport, huh?
Yeah, and I didn't anticipate it being hot when I landed in Chicago, and I'm like, oh crap, I'm wearing rosé. Let's see how this does. And
it was pumping off of his skin.
Yeah,
too. When I
and
picked
this
him up
lady,
in the car. Oh,
yeah. In fact, even before I got out the airport, this lady who worked for one of the airlines, she was standing at one of the lines where people go in for ticketing, and I walked by her, and she was like, "Sir, what is that? What are you wearing?" And then one of her coworkers, come smell him. And I'm like, this is weird. Do I like get closer to her? What do I do now? So I'm like, I kind of like leaned in, like, all right, here we are. And then, what? Yes. Oh, yes.
Here you go.
Guys, that's the secret, guys. If you're not walking around
just do
public
this
spaces and you're not doing this, how can you expect to,
Oh,
come on, guys. God. If you want compliments, come on, get it out there. Come on now. And every new person you meet, hey, how you doing? Good to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Hey, what's going on? My name's Ross. Sniff.
What do you think? Yeah, it's like, how bad do you want it, guys? Do you want it like eye patch bad? If it's eye patch bad, then that's what you got to do. How bad?
Solo view visuals, I have no idea what you're. I don't know if it's a bad joke or an actual fragrance.
Oh, I think I've seen them asking about this a few times, and I don't know I've never heard of this.
I don't know if it's a joke or an actual fragrance. I really don't know. I have no idea.
I have a feeling that
could you elaborate?
Be some trolling. I'm gonna look this up
because I guess that's I'm not sincere. Is that what that's trying to say?
Yeah, this is not pulling up anything, so they might be on their way out here with a little bit of a block.
Best Brands Perfumes, Sincerity Pour Homme. Shout out to Christian. No, this is an actual fragrance, so my apologies. I mean, it's just a strange name. It looked like it could be a trolling thing. Like
it kind of did. I apologize as well.
Yeah, I apologize. It could be read both ways, but kind of a cool looking bottle. Yeah, it's $30 from Best Brands Perfumes. Like I said, shout out to Christian O. That's his brand.
Okay, Christian. Oh, this is his brand.
Well, I don't know about the fragrance, but Best Brands Perfume, the website.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Totally. Sincerity. I see it here. Yeah, cool looking bottle.
Whiskey note, woodsy notes might be.
It looks like it's a Gentleman Reserve Privé clone.
Okay. You know what? I'll consider grabbing that. I'd be curious if the gradients matches the real one. I'd be curious to check it out. $30. I might try it out.
90.
I doubt Justin will buy it. I'll buy it.
No, I have the original, which is fine.
Justin's not really much into the clones, you know.
I mean, if I have the original and I like it, I'm just going to stick with that and recommend.
I just like reviewing them. That's all it comes down to.
Oh yeah, no,
certain ones I wear a lot.
And I know it is. I know it's helpful. I do know it's helpful.
Most of the time, I'm just going to wear the original too. I preach all the time, guys. Yeah, it's close, but the original better.
Yeah. So Solar View, I apologize for any animosity. Yeah, we did. We're always on guard for the trolls because they're everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Dark patch or eye patch? Interesting. Okay. Wow. Okay. John Carlo he said it's real. It's a Givenchy Reserve Privé.
Yeah.
All right.
I just
Thank you,
wasn't
John
sure.
Carlo. And you said, pretty sure you mentioned Neeb showed it to you. All right. There's that.
Never seen it before.
Um, let's see. Anything else? Anything else? Um, yep. So far, I need a foldable fan and an eye patch. Yes, that's what it's going to take to get the
Just
compliments.
walk around with a little handheld portable fan with it
And you could
behind your head
just
facing forward.
yes, just fan that
Or get some
scent
kind of
everywhere.
attachment to hang on the back of a backpack, just blowing it forward.
Yes, you're just casually, hey, how you
A
doing? Yeah,
light breeze.
I'm
You know?
Ross. And people are like, what's with the fan? They're like, oh,
Yeah.
can you smell my scent? Oh yeah, I can.
Well, I
That's
don't want
why.
to. I don't want to ask. I don't want to tell you why, because just in case, I want it to be unsolicited. So I don't want to tell you why. Let's just see how this goes.
Yes. Well, let's just see how this goes.
Just let the cards fall how they may.
Yeah, just
Ignore the fan.
unsee the fan. Unsee
Yeah,
it. It's
ignore the
fine.
fan.
Focus on me. All right, me. They're like, all right, this isn't worth a conversation. This is an
This isn't a bad
interesting.
idea.
Yeah, and I don't know why we haven't done this yet, but
Right. I think we got spoiled for doing videos in person.
That's
we've
right.
done a good bit of content together in person.
We have.
Over the years.
I think this is definitely worth considering.
That's a great idea. Instead of saying I need to remember to bring it next time I see you.
Yes. How about
for
our next stream that we do on your channel, we could maybe prepare something like that.
Do a decant swap. Because there's several that I've wanted you to try. And I know likewise. You got stuff you've wanted me to try.
Likewise, yeah.
That's a great idea, sir.
Yeah, instead of waiting probably 6 months.
Take you up on that idea.
Yeah. Sir Siage is actually out here with some great ideas, he's a lot of the time.
Absolutely killing it in this life.
Even for content, like I do polls like, hey guys, what do you want to see? And I'm like, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. And I've written some of them down and I've made some of those videos. And I credit Sir Siage Sniffington.
Well, Sir Siage Sniffington, that is a great idea, sir. And how it makes us think, like literally we said it out loud, how did we not do this before? It's the obvious.
Yes, exactly. Because people do this, but we just never considered it because of what you said. Like we usually haven't had to.
We're like, I'll see you eventually. We'll do some content later. Well, in the meantime, we could do this. You know?
Yes. Sir, could you please turn your scent fan down?
Exactly.
The scent fan. This is okay. Have any of you guys ever worn a fragrance and it was so bad that you jumped in the shower straight away? Thank you so much, Paul, all the way from Scotland. Ooh,
not me.
I can't say here for me. I'm pretty formulaic with my fragrance wearing. This might sound crazy, but I will seldom, almost never wear a fragrance, like actually wear it without trying it on my hand first. I'm not the kind of guy that if I get something new in, oh, it's new, finally got it, and spray it right on. That is like, whoa.
And then be like, damn, I shouldn't have sprayed it 10 times.
Exactly. I'm not that guy. I hold it together and I'm like, okay, I got it. Cool. Let's go ahead and all right. And if it's that bad, then yeah, I just scrub it here and we're good. But I've never been in that situation.
Thank God we don't have bad skin reactions to these things, because I couldn't tell you how many times something's been sprayed on the top of these hands over the years. I couldn't even give you a number. It's unreal. Because on a daily basis it happens. I probably spray on my hands more than on my damn neck.
Yes. Oh, seriously. Yeah. Because when I'm wearing something for the day, I'm wearing one thing for the day. But when you're testing,
I'm not spraying anything on top of it till after I shower.
Exactly. But when you're testing, it's like, okay, one new here, maybe there, maybe here, maybe like it's all fair game. Yes. Yeah. And your neck is just like, okay, cool, guys. Yeah.
Yeah, that's off limits. That's the daily wear. Everything else is fair game.
Totally. Especially end of the day. It's like, all right, let me go ahead and test away here.
That's
put these hands to use. I'm glad that our hands aren't like falling off or something. The skin's melting away. He said he had to scrub off was our most wanted and Herod. Okay.
Those are both
Everyone's
quite
different.
nice, I think.
Yeah, everyone's different.
Mhm.
Everyone is different. Someone said Mansura Red Tobacco is my instant
Oof.
scrubber.
I could
I
see how not everybody would like it.
Yeah. Can you think of offhand one instant scrubber for the hand for you in recent years?
I know I have one. I'm trying to remember.
I mean, I'm wondering about Cuba Black, whatever the hell that thing is called. Maybe that's an instant
It's
scrubber,
just
but
such a cheap ass smell. Cuba Prestige Black is just such a cheap. It's the cheapest smelling fragrance I've ever smelled. Like if I could tell, there's no other fragrance that comes to mind that I think smells like a quarter. Like it costs a quarter.
It smells like the
It's
quarter
that
it
much
costs
of
to
a
make it. Yes.
chemical piece of crap. It's not
Yes.
that it's rank. It's
Yeah.
just not good. I just make a meme of it basically. Like I exaggerate a little
Yes.
bit. It's not the
Yes.
end of the world, but it's like I'm not saying there's not a number, but you'd have to pay me a lot of money to get me to spray 6 or 7 sprays and go wear that for the day. It would because that's
Oh
just such an
man.
unenjoyable experience for
Yeah.
me. But I don't know if it's necessarily just like, oh God, for the love of
Yeah.
God. But I have had a friend, I just can't remember which one where it was just,
Sure.
oh, I can't wear the and I'm trying to remember what it was. Oh, Palo Giggly. It smelled like urinal cakes.
Is
I'm gonna
that like
grab
an
it.
old
I'm
school
showing you.
fragrance?
It's a niche fragrance. Where's that?
Oh
Right
man.
here. Here it is. I will never wear this fragrance ever. Let me adjust my focus. So
What is
why is autofocus on? So Steve had sent me this a while back. Palo
okay.
Giggly Peta. I don't know how you even say it.
Peta.
It smells like urinal cakes when I spray it on my skin.
Oh
Now
no.
I've smelled others from the brand from a discovery set he gave me that was phenomenal. So when he was like, "Hey man, I'm going to send this your way," I got excited. Like, ooh, that brand was pretty good. Awful,
Dang.
awful. Smells like urinal cakes. That's all I can
Dang.
relate it to. On my skin, not even out in the air, just on my hand. And I was like, ooh, got to get that off. Can't do it. Let Steve know, hey man, you want me to send it back? Maybe you can use decants because I will not wear this. He's
The
like, no
funny
man, just keep it.
I'm looking it up right now on
The
Fragrantica.
notes don't look bad.
Well, the notes, it looks like it's supposed to be a clone of oud wood.
But it smells like urinal cake. It's not. It's
So it does
not
not smell like oud wood. They missed
like
the
urinal
mark on
cake
this
oud
one.
wood. Because look, oud wood has kind of that cleaner smell to it. I've always
Yeah,
related
I can
it to
see
like a
that.
if
It's a
there's such a thing as a
medicinal kind of
luxury smelling industrial cleaner, it's oud
yes.
wood at
Yes.
first, you know. But
Yes.
that is straight up fresh urinal cake in a urinal. Hasn't been peed
Fresh
on yet.
year.
Urinal cake. Okay, so yeah, I had one. It took me a minute
Oh
to figure it out, but it's this
man.
one.
That
Yeah,
is great.
boo,
The
boo
only
that
one,
fragrance.
yes, the only one I can think of right now is from Penhaligon's. And
Really?
I may have told you this story, I can't remember, but back when Corbin and I were like doing a lot of filming together, I remember one time he hit me up and he's like, "Hey man, I'm driving back into town from out of town, and I think it was a Perfumania. There's a store here, and I was gonna stop in. You want me to see if I can get you anything?" I'm like, "Yeah, well, call me when you get there and see what they got." So he calls me. He's like, "All right, I'm here," and they have this Penhaligon's fragrance called Orange Blossom. And I've heard a lot about it. I heard there's like
I
this
think
cult
you did tell me
following.
about this.
Yeah, and there's this cult following. I think a lot of people are digging. I see a lot of good reviews on Fragrantica. It's $40. How about I pick you one up? You pay me back. I'm like, yeah,
There's a
40
reason.
bucks. Yes. So he picks both of them up. And I'm pretty certain I told you this story, but it's
Mm.
so ridiculous. So he shows up at my house. I open the door and he just has this sullen look on his face. Like,
You did tell me this story. Yeah, I remember
and
that
he
specifically.
hands me my bottle in a bag, and I'm like, "Are you good?" And I hand him the money, and he's like, "Uh, oh, I just, yeah." I'm like, "Did you smell it?" He's like, "Yeah." It was a mistake. I'm like, "Okay, well, I'll see you later, man." He leaves, and I take it out. I'm like, "All right, how bad could it be?" I pull it
Yeah.
out. I spray it on my hand, and I get hit with. The only way I could describe this scent is like old grandma bathroom potpourri. Like it just smelled old. It smelled like just
like dusty and
yeah, just kind of like this weird
like
sweet.
cobweb had a smell. It would be that.
It was just it was like this overly sweet like air freshener vibe, just like almost candied, like a candied orange blossom, but nasty. And I couldn't even bring it up to my nose. I'm like, oh no. I went and scrubbed that thing off real quick, didn't spray it ever again.
Oh God. I didn't get all the way up. I got about here.
Yes.
Oh God.
And then I think I did end up
I
selling it
waited a
because
minute and then I couldn't
yes.
do it no more.
He said,
I
maybe
tried
it's
to get this.
better up close. Nope. If it's bad out here, it's going to be worse up here. It's like, oh, this fire's a little warm. Maybe it's not as warm if I go in.
Maybe I won't get burned.
Yeah. Exactly. So needless to say, I do not own that fragrance anymore. Billionaire 01. Thank you for the super chat.
Before you go into that, because the comical thing is somebody be like, oh, well, if you don't like it, you should give it away. I don't want to do this to anybody. I'm not. That's so cruel.
Yes.
And look, there may be somebody out there that loves it and would so enjoy it, but I'm just not willing to take that risk.
I'm
and
sure.
Be like, TLTG gave me this garbage ass fragrance. I'll just keep it for reference.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally. No, I think I found it on Fragrantica, and it has like no traffic on the page, like no votes. I think one person voted on its performance, and that's it. Like they said, it was long lasting. I'm like, okay, people aren't really being drawn to
your
this
fragrance,
one.
My fragrance, or both?
Wait, on yours.
Okay, yeah.
On the Paolo, on the Payta, whatever it is. Yeah. Yeah, billionaire. Thank you for the super chat. Any recommendation for a safe, nice gourmand, spicy gourmand like Bon New York Nights? I've been sampling like crazy, nothing to love yet. I'm curious. So I have tried New York Nights, and it is one of the few bonds that I find interesting. Where I'm like, this is kind of different. It's like an aquatic gourmand, but it's like floral too. It's like chocolate and like aquatic notes and maybe carnation, or I don't know. It's different, and it's actually pretty pleasant. I'm just curious if you're saying like New York Nights. I'm assuming that you like New York Nights, in which case I think that's a great option, but there must be a reason why. So the first thing I would ask you is why not New York Nights? And then we can help you out from there. I love broccoli. Thank you for this. I just said that so quick, not even thinking about it. I love broccoli with the astronaut. That is so random. Thank you for the super chat for the fragrance fund. Appreciate that. You guys are creative out there. Tried a lot of killing and amouage, not hitting. Okay.
So Tim, I'm not jumping in the portal, but maybe Coach Prime needs
oh boy,
some fragrance recommendations. They just came in today. That's why I'm wearing the pre-order just came in for the Coach Prime shades. I have other blenders. This isn't my only pair of blenders.
Dude, those are some.
That's why I'm wearing the Colorado stuff right
Those are some flexers right there.
These are, I mean, it's collaboration. Man, come on now.
Yes, that is awesome. Those look great. Okay.
I like flashy shades.
They look great. They just like,
thank you.
They just catch the light. Okay. For me, hold on real quick. He did something like New York Nights would be cool, but I would love to learn of something that fits into the spicy gourmand category. Spicy gourmands.
Not completely gourmand, but this, I literally unboxed this yesterday. Don't let the name Silver Blue and the beautiful blue bottle fool you. Nothing blue here. Spicy, caramel, woody. That's the take.
Okay.
Beautiful. One of the better caramel notes I've come across. I'm actually taking this with me. I'm going to visit George this weekend.
Yeah.
And this is making the trip. I like it that much.
Wow.
One of the better caramel notes. Speaking of spicy gourmand. And I'm not a big gourmand guy, but here you go. Silver Blue from Mancera.
What an interesting name for that scent. Silver Blue.
Totally
the wrong. I wouldn't think. I wouldn't think
totally
it at all.
The wrong marketing.
Honestly, so that's it sounds super interesting.
It's very good.
honestly, I'll leave this recommendation and then unfortunately got to wrap it up. But I would say, and I know you've been checking out day 3 fragrances. I
Mm-hmm.
think day 3 has some fantastic gourmands.
Mike's killing it. Mike's like the
Yes.
darling this year
Yeah.
when it comes to
You
the
know,
indie niche stuff.
La Tacita de Cafe, that brown sugar with, I think it's maybe coffee, and
Yeah, there's coffee in that one.
that thing is just tasty.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good, as well as Ambar Dominicano,
Dominicano,
which is like a rum coke vibe, but it's warm, sweet, spicy.
very rich
I
fragrance.
Yes, and long lasting, great quality, nice development. He's checking all the boxes. So I
I'm a
would check.
Bonnie guy. Bonnie's my favorite.
Oh,
Mango
Bonnie is
papaya. Mango
beautiful.
papaya. It's
I
my favorite.
actually I didn't spray it right away. I had it for a few weeks before I finally sprayed it. And I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
It's
Rich,
so, it just,
last, juicy. Yeah.
yeah, it has a really strong face to it. It's really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, billionaire, here you go. Day 3 fragrances. If you just look them up on Google or on Instagram, you will find them. And we've talked about them in videos and stuff. They just good stuff. Really good stuff. Okay. Well, everyone, we are past the 2-hour mark. This has been
It flew by.
quite a pleasure to
Indeed.
discuss this topic, and it didn't get too heavy or too controversial, I think, but I think interesting enough to where people in the replay will find some interest in. And I think we left a good mark. So, Ross, as always, I want to thank you for joining me on my channel. We'll have to get together and plan this little exchange
Yes.
for your channel. So let's keep talking about that.
Absolutely.
But yeah, in the meantime, every one of you guys who stuck around, thank you so much for watching us, for staying in the chat on the stream, and for chiming in. And we will be seeing you guys in the next videos. Y'all take care.